all of my fellow panelists, so please join me. And perhaps I'll give some description of them as they're joining me up on stage. That's not what I prepared for. So I think I'll just sit down and join them here. I just want to say that last group of speakers was incredible, and I am so inspired. And I think we're going to pull this off as a species, and I want to thank them all again. And it's my mother's birthday yesterday, and and my mother's an educator, and she's empowered me to take this on. And we cannot do this without women leadership. So thank you again. Okay. Wow, that was unexpected. Okay. Here we are. I'm going to address my notes for a moment, collect myself. Encouraging youth empowerment. Wow. Another thing we must do. Good afternoon, everyone. What an honor it is to be with you here at NASA 2025. And we welcome to our final session, Youth Empowerment and Capacity Development. Fitting, as young people will inherit the momentum that we are building today. My name is Ryan Pickering, and I'm joining you from Berkeley, California, where I work with students, communities, and stakeholders to imagine and build new nuclear facilities around the world. Nuclear energy is often seen as high-tech, expensive, and foreign. Yet on this stage yesterday, the Prime Minister of Rwanda made a clear call to transcend fear and use nuclear energy as a tool for Africa's development. That tool requires people, tradespeople, homemakers, teachers, artists, engineers, industrialists. This session is about building that human foundation with the incredible youth of this continent. I am thrilled to introduce these 4 leaders who will help shape that foundation across Africa and beyond. I'll begin with Ms. Aruchi Opara, a Nigerian energy professional based in the United Kingdom, working at the intersection of energy storage, policy, and innovation. She is part of a new wave of African leaders setting the agenda for the clean energy landscape. She brings insights into the barriers young Africans face in accessing energy careers and the opportunities they have to lead. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, we're clapping for women here. Right on. Next, right here in Kigali, Professor Ignace Gatare, principal of the College of Science and Technology at the University of Rwanda. Under his leadership, the university is launching the country's first nuclear science and technology degree, a first step in preparing the workforce needed for this country's Vision 2050. We're also joined by Mr. Pedro Dieguez Porras, head of nuclear knowledge management at the IAEA in Vienna. Pedro's role is global and vital. He oversees how countries develop, preserve, and share the knowledge needed to run nuclear programs. He works with newcomer countries worldwide. His team supports member states on human resource development, nuclear knowledge management, nuclear education, and regional networks. Welcome, Pedro. Finally, joining us from France is Mr. Dom Say. Dom is the founder and president of Africa Association of Professionals in Nuclear, or AAPN. Originally from Senegal, Dom has spent his career advancing nuclear fuel management in Europe while building a powerful Pan-African network that connects African students and professionals across the globe. Through mentorship, training, and outreach, AAPM are helping young people find their place in this field with a collective African voice. Thank you for joining us, Dom. Professor Gatari, I'd like to start with you. As the principal of a leading university in this country and in Africa and the world, the University of Rwanda, what a place. Give us your insights about what it takes to empower today's youth.
Thank you very much. I think the first step to empower the youth is to give them what they really deserve. I know currently we are living in a world with a changing professional environment. The world is changing, and the requirement on the job market, either be on a professional job or you want to be an entrepreneur, the conditions are changing rapidly. So what we think as a university is to provide programs which are relevant. By relevance, I mean the youth should be part of the process. In designing the program, we ensure that we map the demand of the market, and we ensure that during the delivery of the program, we don't just give them static program, but programs which are tailored to the needs of the market. To do so, what we do, we consult the industry so that during the program delivery, we co-create those programs. And I think in that way, we can ensure that we are aligning our supply to the demand. And the youth, our client, and I consider them our precious client. The second, to inspire them, you need to give them an enabling environment. We know currently innovation is taking another part of the education. And as far as the University of Rwanda is concerned, working with partners, for example, the UNDP and the Ministry of Innovation and ICT, we've been able to establish a university innovation pod. And what we discover as an educator is really a disruptive environment whereby a student studying geology, because our college offers a wide range of programs, start to innovate in AI. Why? Because he or she has access to an AI development platform or virtual reality platform. So this enabling environment, like innovation and entrepreneurship hub, allows students to exchange and to also self-empower. In our case, we saw them developing a movement I currently myself learning from called Innovation Here and Impact Everywhere. Those are very inspiring words. Myself as an educator, I could not see. So I think that is a way to empower them, but also give them the opportunity like this summit. I want to thank the CEO of Dual Fuel. While attending this conference on Friday, he delivered a public lecture to our students. So I think coupling the formal education and the exposure and enabling environment, we give the youth the opportunity to express their talent, but also to be actors themselves of the education process. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Well, let's hear from a real live nuclear professional. Dom, tell us about your journey into working in nuclear.
I start to say that my journey in the nuclear power industry was not something that I was planning at the beginning. It's because, as many young people, I had some doubt, and I was not sure that I can work in the nuclear industry, but I was curious, and my curiosity pushed me to know more about nuclear energy. And over the years, during my experience professional, I have the opportunity to work a very exciting project. And this type of projects on nuclear power plant, on engineering department. And after that, I have come to realize that in nuclear power industry, it's not only about reactors, it's not only about technology. For my opinion, it's also about people, and it's also about development. I just want to say, don't be afraid to work in the nuclear industry. And you don't need to be an expert to start. As you are a scientist, an engineer, a lawyer, a communicator, or a policymaker, the doors are open and you have your chance. So my message to young Africa is just join us. Don't be afraid to be part of this journey. And honestly, I think we need your energy, we need your innovation, and also we need your voice to build the African nuclear development. So I finish to tell you that don't be afraid to explore this path. And I'm here because I had a chance, and I hope that many of you will do the same. Thank you.
Incredible. Thank you for that call to action, Dom. Uruchi, as a young professional in the energy sector, what do you see as the biggest opportunity and barriers for African youth to lead in clean energy innovation? And where does nuclear fit into that vision?
That's an interesting question. I think I'd start with the idea that, we shouldn't be misguided. Young professionals out there already, or young students out there already have a passion to contribute to the energy transition. We've seen this because it's birthed from a place of fear. We've seen this in the climate movements where we've had like prolific youth-led initiatives, organizations lean into activism because they're not giving a space to contribute meaningful impact to policymaking. And oftentimes this activism can even turn into violent or disruptive activism. We don't want the same sort of issue to happen on a national scale or an intercontinental scale when it comes to energy access. In general, there are a lot of youth-led initiatives across the continent right now that are viewed from a place of advocacy as opposed to from a place of actually having real contribution. And I fear, honestly, that if we continue to ignore them, it would increase their frustration, and then we can essentially then delay the production of a functioning workforce that we need for the energy industry in the next, 5 to 10 years. I think in the same way, there are lots of existing youth-led initiatives that are often confided to the work only on the grassroots level, not because they lack sophistication to do so, but because they're not giving the capital investment or the regulatory openness to work on it. For example, I think in Kenya, they have, I think it's Solar Freeze. It's a youth-led initiative that works to essentially create solar panel-generated fridges for harvest loss or post-harvest loss reduction for rural farmers. These are one of the examples of grassroots level initiatives that when giving the capacity, they can expand.
Fabulous. This space needs a lot more oxygen as we grow. It's almost intimidating as the world falls in love with nuclear, how we can keep up with this demand. Pedro, we're so happy to have you here. What are the most pressing human resource and knowledge management challenges facing nuclear newcomer countries in planning their nuclear programs?
Thank you, Ryan. So let's talk about the oxygen and how we can get oxygen in the form of workforce for the nuclear power in a country. So when a member state starts working with nuclear power, developing the program, they are going in the following years to absorb and develop as well the nuclear knowledge in the country. So they will acquire this knowledge and they will have to develop. For that, there are like 4 areas that they need to work on. The first one is to have a strategic approach to the development of the human resources at national level, to consider all the different processes they have to go through, from national decision making, development of the infrastructure, and then development of the nuclear organizations. The second area is the development of the university programs, the university and vocational schools infrastructure, so they are able to generate this knowledge in the country, to absorb and generate further knowledge. And these universities will be required to be at the highest levels, at the international level, so benchmarking, as we know that Professor Gattari was involved with the agency as well, benchmarking with nuclear programs and working at the highest levels of research, nuclear research. So you have the plans, you have the infrastructure, and then you need to feed the pipelines. You need to attract the youth, you need to have clear path for hiring the youth after they study in the universities. You can offer them attractive careers. At the end, we are competing with other engineering and scientific fields. Nuclear is special because by itself it's attractive, it generates dreams, it has very special history, but also it creates experiences in these professionals, in the young professionals. You can travel internationally, you are at the highest levels of knowledge in terms of quality and expectations. You are, if you are a nuclear professional, you have to be at the highest levels compared with anybody and everywhere in the world. And also attract women. That's very important. We cannot leave one half of the population, and we need their talent and their expertise. And the last one is to be able to engage with other industrial organizations or companies and the government, to have a level of networking in the country that will generate these careers for these young professionals. For that, we have to consider that, well, we have many member states in embarking process in different stages, but all of them need to plan when and where they are going to hire these young professionals and offer them opportunities. When a member state is investing in nuclear, is investing many millions, there will be opportunities for localization. Localization, industrial localization and knowledge localization with universities and research centers is an opportunity for investment for the government and for industrials to retain the knowledge. Because the last one, to be brief, is brain drain. You have, as long as you have invested years and efforts to develop these experts in your country, you have to retain them. You have to avoid that they go somewhere else and take with them the years of knowledge and expertise they have accumulated. And for that, you need to have them engaged, happy in the country, in the organizations, and have a shared mission and vision to work for the future of the country.
Thank you, Pedro. We're so lucky that we don't have to figure this out by ourselves. There are so many resources that generations of our ancestors have put together for us, and we can tap into that through the IAEA, and that has such a spirit of collaboration and an international framework of science and technology that we can achieve peace through. And I really admire the peaceful effort that your organization is bringing forward. And I'll say, I was an anti-nuclear person until 2021. I just didn't understand it. And using IAEA resources, I was really able to unwind that cultural baggage that this, especially older, my generation and older, have around this technology. Now, there are so many young faces in this room, and I want to thank all the students again for taking 2 days to coming and joining us. And I just see the attentiveness, and I've been able to meet you after the sessions yesterday, and just the enthusiasm to join us, and we need that. And It's so encouraging to see people uncoupled by some of that baggage of the past and just optimistic and ready to build the future. Professor Gatare, tell us about the inception and development process of the nuclear program that you're launching at the University of Rwanda.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the establishment of our program, the first ever program of nuclear science and technology in Rwanda, was done in the same philosophy as my first intervention. Was a demand-driven. So we didn't sit down at the university and decide to establish the program. We are happy that when Rwanda started to reflect on establishing its national nuclear program, at the onset of that discussion, the academia was approached. It was a perfect context of academia, industry, and government collaboration. So we listened and we understood the needs and the requirements, as Pedro said, and our task was to develop a new program. So it's, as I said, we adopted a co-creation approach whereby we consider that program, as it was mentioned by one of the speakers yesterday, when you talk about nuclear science and technology, we tend to see atoms and reactors. But we don't understand that a reactor is a machine which is made of parts. These are control systems which make sure that efficiency is reached. So you have mechanical engineering, we have chemical engineering, we have other construction and other disciplines like electrical, because you have to connect the generator to electrical power system. So I think we were lucky because the University of Rwanda is a comprehensive university, particularly the College of Science and Technology, had already the existing traditional basic and applied and engineering programs. So what we did, we designed a program which is like a continuum to form the bedrock, the foundation, which can allow us to develop skills in a long-term, with a long-term approach in mind. So it's a Bachelor of Science in Nuclear Science and Technology with the intention to give the foundation. And during the development, we faced the following question. How do you develop a program in a nascent industry? Because we don't have a well-established industry, nuclear industry, apart from medical sector. So we also pull into the international collaboration. We have a wide range of partners who contributed to review the program, to give inputs, together with the member of our academic staff. We consulted the industry, and in this specific case, the Rwanda Atomic Energy Board was instrumental in pulling together resources so that we develop a program which is more outcome-based instead of just being input. So what we make here is a call for all prospective partners. We have already identified a network of partners. We are lucky to be member of the IAEA. The IAEA has been instrumental in training some of our staff. We are grateful for that. So our call is just next September to have our first cohort. And why not very soon, maybe 4 years, to have the first graduates and eventually have them placed in the national nuclear program. So that is our dream, and take this opportunity to thank some of the faculty members who are actually in this room for their tireless efforts to make it happen. So for us, it's a celebration. To have it matching also this summit, the program was accredited in a few weeks back, and we have the summit. For us, it's a really perfect match. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our teachers. Thank you to our students. In the US, we describe this new love for nuclear as the vibe shift. Something changed. And thank you for reminding us that nuclear reactors do not run on vibes, and we need to get to work and start learning this with our own hands. We have to get out of these textbooks and into these experiments and hopefully pouring concrete very soon and really building this society-wide movement. Dom, how important is mentorship, professional networks, and regional collaboration when strengthening youth leadership in Africa's nuclear future?
I think that mentorship is one of the biggest tools we have, and sometimes it seems that it is overlooked. When young people have someone, especially someone who have experience in the nuclear field, who guide him, I think that it builds confidence, it builds motivation, and that's why at AAPN we are working to launch a mentorship program, and in this program it looks like experienced expert from nuclear field. They matches with African young professional, so they can talk regularly, they can give advice, and building a strong relationship. APN helps also young to be part of a community, to be part of the conversation, and also to be part of something which is bigger. About the regional collaboration, I have just to say that if African countries, they collaborate together, like sharing training opportunities or sharing platform in safety, I think that it's not just like, we are not just like helping individuals, we are building an ecosystem, a continental ecosystem. And this ecosystem supports the development of nuclear power program in Africa. And in this ecosystem, we put inside, in the center, the African leadership.
Thank you, Dom. Aruchi, what do you see as the biggest opportunity, based on your experience in energy policy engagement, what do you see as the biggest opportunity between academia, government, and industry, building youth capacity and fostering a new generation of African energy professionals, as well as entrepreneurs in the sustainable development space?
Honestly, from my perspective, I think that the best application of an interaction between three sectors is one where obligation sort of flows cyclical. So I guess we would have policy enabling education, and then education feeding into industry, and in the end, essentially having the industry directly reinvesting into the youth, so we can have sort of like a clear pathway between education and learning, all the way down to job creation and career building. I think at the moment, if we want to have a domestic or local skill set of young adults able to contribute to an energy industry or a nuclear energy industry in 5 to 10 years, we need to start addressing energy literacy from pretty early on, from teenage years. I think at the moment, there are a number of STEM students across the continent that go through their entire career or their entire education pathway without actually coming across the nuclear field. And obviously, it's not because it's not relevant, it's just because it's not fully embedded into their curriculum. From my view, like I said, from policy making that decision, I think this is a simple policy issue. I think it's the government's duty to set or enforce curriculum reform that then includes nuclear into these industries or into these multidisciplinary approaches. Obviously, not just within the engineers, because in order to have this energy technology that we're looking for, we need more than just nuclear engineers. We need lawyers, as everyone has said, we need lawyers, we need, economists to access, localized cost models. And even deeper than that, we would need, anthropologists or sociologists to kind of go on the grassroots level to, assess or review like the cultural impact of including this technology, this high technology, if we're assessing the view of having, SMRs in, remote or off-grid locations. I think there are lots of pathways that we can sort of address when going through that. And I think a good example actually is in Ghana. So in Ghana right now, they have workshops where they incorporate, regulatory bodies, academics, and even professionals. And they bring students to have this face-to-face interaction with professionals in the industry to kind of start that mentorship approach. And I think those are the types of, hands-on, cross-sectoral initiatives that we need in order to have a functioning energy system that includes high-tech technology like nuclear in the next 2 to 20 years.
So the education doesn't end with school. It moves on, hopefully, to mentorship. And gosh, how much have we learned from our mentors? Shout out to all the people who mentor, and to the young people someday. You need to learn so that you can continue to pass it on, and this is the way. Sometimes I feel that the world is a bit afflicted with energy blindness. That we live in such a energy-dense world now, it's hard to understand how much energy has been expounded upon almost everything we look at. And so restoring energy education, or renewing that, or innovating in energy education, I think will help contextualize and allow us to transcend to this abundant energy reality. And we'll need a lot of mentorships and teachers to do that. And I think that's something that the nuclear industry has done quite well. Perhaps it is because this second generation of nuclear engineers are now moving towards retirement. And many of them were thinking, I guess we're not going to do nuclear. And now they're seeing this great resurgence, and we're seeing a lot of connections being made between these great legends in this industry and coaching up young people working in energy. Pedro, how is the IAEA supporting youth engagement and capacity development in nuclear knowledge management? And what opportunities exist for African students and professionals to benefit from these programs?
In the agency, we give support to member states on human resource development, knowledge management, and their organizations. Activities that we are targeting youth and nuclear professionals where they can participate. I would like to mention several of them. The first one, we have the nuclear energy management schools. We run a nuclear knowledge management schools. We run around 15 of them each year, all around the world. This year we had in Kenya, Canada, Russia, China, Japan, US, Brazil. The nuclear energy management school is a 2-week school. The participants come, gather, and for 2 weeks they receive lectures on technology, but also nuclear law, nuclear safety, all the different elements that the agency can offer to cover all the different technical fields related to nuclear energy. Nuclear knowledge management is for practitioners who work on nuclear organizations, and they are involved in retaining the knowledge in the organization and management systems and retaining the expertise in the organization, also from human resources point of view. Then we have 2 flagship projects for women. The first one is the Maria Sklodowska Fellowship Program. It was launched by our DG, Director General Grossi, and it facilitates the access of young women to master programs in nuclear. And after that, they have a 1-year fellowship. So the fee of the master program plus the 1-year fellowship in the agency or in many other nuclear institutions around the world. The Lease Minor program provides the opportunity for young women professionals, but with a little bit more experience, to go some weeks in a trip to a member state, visiting nuclear facilities, doing hands-on experiments, lectures, and also there is a component on professional development and leadership development. Also, well, these are like activities targeted for young professionals, and we have fellowship programs as well, where they can come to the agency and participate in the work of the different sections. Then we have a program on educational outreach. It's not for young generation, it's for the universities to attract the young generation. So for this, in this sense, they will benefit if they are attracted to study nuclear science and nuclear-related fields. And we have launched an integrated nuclear education advisory service for that purpose, and also to support nuclear education and the different curricula that are established. And in that sense, we have online a lot of material available for free. And from time to time, we have conferences and many activities that if they are endorsed by the member state, they can come and participate in Vienna in the activities, and they are financially supported to do so.
Thank you, Pedro. Professor Guattari, you're inheriting these young people as they enter college, and many are already on their path. You know, how do we go deeper? How do we look to even younger ages? What would you like to see primary schools teaching youth in order for us to build this high-energy future that we're headed towards?
Thank you very much. So I think, building on what Pedro has said, if you want to attract young people towards what we call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which are applied sciences, we need to inspire them at the very beginning. I mentioned about the Innovation Center or the Innovation Hub we have. We practice an open door policy, and I'm always very pleased when I see a letter of a director of a primary school wanting to come and visit. And one day I was about to cry when they were coming, when I was exiting the center, a group of 50 young students from primary school coming to visit the center. And when they enter the center and you see how they exchange with the innovators, how they are inspired by seeing the equipment there, it is an eye-opener for them. So I think university should not be ivory towers. We need to open our doors to make sure that our youngsters coming at the university can see and explore their future by seeing what is happening at university. That is the primary school or young and the secondary school coming to us. But we have also programs of outreach where we go to the primary. For example, our Department of Mathematics, we know that nuclear science and other engineering science are relying on mathematics. And we have what you call math competitions, where the Department of Mathematics goes around the country and initiate competitions at all levels, from district, provinces, up to the national level. And this year we even organized the Pan-African, East African Olympiad. So what does it mean? It means when the university is open, when we have this platform for exchanges, we can attract people, young people, towards STEM. That is one step. The second step is really being involved in a countrywide awareness campaign, and our faculty are always eager to serve on various committees at a national level, and that is an opportunity for people to make like a policy impact and also inspiring other stakeholders, because the university cannot do it in isolation. Maybe one point I want to touch is research and development, which was not mentioned. My understanding is that if we want really to ensure that this energy is reaching the maximum of African people, we need also to develop processes and systems in such a way that research is customized here, so that we are not simply consumer of technology, but rather producer of technology. That requires a lot of collaboration, but also investment in infrastructure. And those infrastructure are actually instrumental to growing research, and why not innovation, which can lead to products. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Well, I think we could sit up here and talk all day about ourselves, but I'm feeling inspired to end this conference by allowing some questions from the young people in the room. How do you feel about that? Okay. I told him I wouldn't go off script, and now I'm doing it. But if we could get some microphones and get some questions from some of the young people in the room. We have some professionals up here, and we'd love to give you some career advice or just hear what you have to say. So I see some hands raised in the room. I'm sure we're mobilizing some microphones. And, oh yeah, lots of questions. I had a feeling. Okay. I don't know. Pick a girl first, please. I can't see the audience very well. Right over there.
Thank you so much. By the name Software Anshfani. I'm a student at University of Rwanda, and I'm in the youth-led initiative of Nice Club, which is a club of advocating about the nuclear. So I wanted to ask the panelists, we've been saying about youth inclusion, so I want to know what steps can be taken so that this youth inclusion is not only symbolic, but it could also come in real-life solutions as youth and have a leadership and other opportunities. Thank you.
That's a powerful question.
I can take that one.
Please.
I think, much like what I was saying in my early, response, we sort of view, and youth, I'm including myself in this conversation, sort of view high-tech energy systems like nuclear as off limits because of its, high capacity requirements and the regulatory frameworks that are around it. But I think at the moment, there are innovations or initiatives that young people can take, including, we can create, data-driven platforms that covers nuclear safety. We can support the design of, maybe hybrid systems that incorporate solar and BESS, or battery energy storage, in with the types of modular nuclear systems that we're keeping in mind. I think as youth, we are in the position, or as young people, we're sort of in a position to take a new and refreshing view to these things. And when considering Africa, I think it's always relevant for us to sort of address the current or existing energy technology systems that we have when looking to, disrupt the industry. So I would advise that if you want to, step into the industry, take the approach of doing research or modeling systems that currently exist and how they can be incorporated with the systems that the high-tech, teaching institutions or international organizations are preparing for, so that when they are ready to deploy that, when they are ready to, have that technology up and running, we have people who would be able to locally implement that in the ways that it will be impactful to our community.
Yes, and I want to build on that, often we other nuclear. We think it's different and it needs to be regulated in a different way. And while nuclear energy is wonderful, I think we're all realizing it's just another industrial technology, and it has to play on the grid with all of our existing resources. We're not starting from scratch here. We're trying to integrate a competitive energy resource. And I think we can learn a lot from Rwanda and the way that they are regulating nuclear through RURA, which is their utility regulator that regulates many things. And so, Fanny, to give my 2 cents is, yes, we need to be curious about energy as a whole and how the whole thing works. And only then can we understand how nuclear can be competitive, because expensive nuclear is not good enough. If it's just a pat on our back and a feather in our cap, that doesn't serve humanity, and we won't build a lot of it. We have to figure out a way that this really drives down the cost of energy and increases access for everyone. So I recommend young people to challenge themselves to understand and take a holistic look at the whole energy grid. And I think when you do that, it will reveal why nuclear energy is so wonderful. More questions? Dom, did you want to say anything to that?
For me, youth is must be part of this journey. I just share my experience in the nuclear industry. We, as a new build, a lot of African countries has new build, and they need a workforce to operate nuclear power plant for many years, maybe for 16 years. So we need to start with young people to train them for maybe a couple of years, and that they can operate the nuclear power plant for decades. And that's the key. That's the case. So we cannot build a nuclear power plant without young people.
Thank you. And Professor, did you want to comment?
Yes. I think the youth inclusion is a very important issue. And as I said, is the enabling environment. And I talked about the approach of co-creation. And when we involve the youth, and we trust them, because when they are self-organized, they are more even innovative. So we have just to allow them to be accompanied in that process, but leave them the liberty of exploring more through the process of support. So the enabling environment and coaching and mentorship can be very powerful tool to allow them to increase their capacity. Thank you.
Loud and clear, Professor. Yeah. More questions from students? Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Chisom Ogbogo. I'm a student from Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. While the lady was speaking, she was pointing out something very crucial about the fact that some schools do not include nuclear energy systems as part of their curriculum. But I wanted to ask, is there also a kind of, should I say, an effect whereby young people are already excited about PV systems, wind systems, and somehow they don't find the nuclear energy conversation a bit exciting? And also, aside from that, is there also a way for us to see nuclear energy system as a clean energy system, like a source of energy, and that people begin to realize that youths in Africa really are looking for electricity and not, some fancy idea of solar panels and all of that. And if nuclear energy can get us there faster, why don't we adopt them and instead of going to other ones because they are a bit popular? Thank you.
Okay. I can take that one.
Yeah, please start.
We agree.
First of all, I think nuclear is just as fancy as all the others. I think that it goes back to the same point. We are relegated to the energy systems that we know and we have experience with. We're relegated to energy systems that we have seen and generally have experiences with. Nuclear is it's expensive. It's highly cost intensive. And I think that's just what leans us away from it. Now, when I was talking about the ways in which young people can incorporate with it, I was thinking not from a point of, actual engagement with the technology, because rightfully so, regulatory openness will just not allow us to get to that point. But just like Professor said, from a point of research and then localized research is sort of a way that we can lean towards that. In general, when it comes to solar and wind, I think as they are just existing more experienced energy systems that we have more information on, it's easier to tap into. But that being said, nuclear is inevitable for our energy system or energy system requirements in Africa. And if it's coming, we need to be, as young people, aware of it and able to engage with this in a way that it impacts, or we can impact the way that it's deployed.
Yes. Pedro, do you have any perspective now that nuclear is regaining popularity of how we can integrate this into broader energy policy? We're seeing Europe kind of change their tune on nuclear energy. We're seeing the World Bank get in the game. You know, how can we integrate nuclear into our integrated resource planning?
Thank you. I was still analyzing the question on the inclusion and the youth, what is interesting for them, and I'm going to link it to your question. So first, we have to inspire the youth. Now the world is aware that we need to decarbonize the production of electricity, of energy in general. Many years ago, we were dreaming of getting to the moon. Now more people dream of breaking the atom. We have challenges to bring more electricity to hundreds of millions of people. So we can dream big. We can, now with the resources that we have in internet, we can influence millions of people. Even with very few resources, we can do it. On the side of policy making, I think there is a big shift. They realize that we need nuclear power, we need SMRs, large reactors, we need to bring nuclear power to Africa, we need to fund and finance those projects. And the young generation is ready to study, I hope, to study, to learn, to develop knowledge, and to create a better future. So I think in the same way we can all dream that we'll have a better future, policymakers on their side, youth on their side, and what we do, it will be, and especially when we talk about nuclear, it will be done for the next generations. 100 years, if we are able to launch a nuclear program, it will be for at least 3 generations of professionals. This is a huge and wonderful endeavor to take on.
Thank you, Pedro. And while nuclear energy has been expensive in many examples, you know, that we can look to history at times when nuclear has been remarkably affordable. I often cite Point Beach in Wisconsin, that they began construction in 1968, completed and interconnected in 1973, 1.2 gigawatts, and at an inflation-adjusted cost of 73 cents a watt. It is the cheapest clean electricity ever produced by humanity. And with smart regulations, like what Rwanda and many visionary African countries are putting into place, we can achieve this again. And what was happening at that time was a great optimism in society, as well as 45 nuclear plants in the queue after that build. So everyone was busy working hard because they knew they had to get to the next job. And when it's this onesie-twosie business, everyone's trying to get a buck and stay on the job site as long as possible. So that is a call to our leaders that we need to fill up the backlog. We need more projects so that we can give market signals and really start to activate these long lead times for both our workforce and our supply chains. Well, it has been an absolute honor to have these 4 up here, and I'm even more honored again that so many students have joined us. I want to thank RIAB for their leadership and bringing so many young people to this conference, and I want to thank everyone for attending, so thank you for your attention.